when you start to give discount, you are only giving value to the market and destroying the value of the user. So there are many things you can do before start giving discounts. A user that changed the billing 1 month to another, increase the churn rate and increase the contact rate between the double or triple and regular user. Sometimes you have to say, I'm really sorry for what you've gone through.
Welcome to CVM Stories, the podcast on customer value management. Together we explore how companies can be more successful and the customers happier through the use of latest customer value management techniques. Learn key commercial and analytical insights from telecoms, retail, finance, and other industries that drive CVM forward.
Hi, I'm your host, Egidius. Today, our guest is Gabriel Felipe Cortes Molina. Gabriel has been working in the postpaid retention for the last 12 years. And today, he will be sharing his secrets on how to eliminate postpaid churn without giving away discounts. So, let's dive in. So, thank you, Gabriel, for joining us today. I know it's very early for you.
Yeah, here in Colombia, it's about 6 a.m.
Yeah. So, as I said you before, you will be in our history as the person who woke up earliest to participate to this podcast. So, thank you for taking this extra mile. Gabriel, first of all, I would like to ask you. It's like, what do you do? I know that you just celebrated like 12 years in Tigo, Colombia. How did you end up working in telecom, and what do you do here? Just briefly explain to our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Okay, first of all, thank you for inviting me, Jirius, to your podcast. I'm really happy to be here. And let that mark you told me. That's a reward. Well, how do I start in telecom? Well, I didn't originally plan to work in a telecom, but once I did it, that was 12 years ago. So, but once I realized that was the perfect fit for me. What really caught my first was the speed of change of the industry. For example, in my team or in churn management, every day is so different. So you don't have time to get bored. And retention is not about give discounts. It's more about to understanding the pain points, reading the data, working with each operation, customer service to fix root causes. So that's keep me motivated for that time to now. Using technology, teamwork, solve problems that you can see that solve a problem, not just one to a person, but for 1,000. So that mix of collaboration, impact is what keeps me motivated for so long time.
When we were discussing like what could we talk about in this podcast, I heard your story about retention in postpaid, and you and everything what you told me immediately hooked me. So a lot of our conversation today will be about retention in postpaid. So Gabriel, imagine that I'm a new guy in retention department. And I'm saying like, okay, so we need, to give very aggressive offers to retain our customers. Where are our offers? What would you say for me?
I think that's not a good idea. I think that maybe could be the last one, or maybe could be the thing you shouldn't to do it.
So I should not be thinking about retention offers, no?
No. Maybe if you are in a competitive market, but you when you start to give discount, you are only giving value to the market and destroy the value of the and you destroy the ARPU of the user. So there are many things you can do before start giving and offering gifting discounts.
Okay. So now it's a very interesting conversation starter, you know? So if discounts, if people don't churn because of discounts, yeah? The question is, so why do people churn in postpaid? Is there any guidance that you would help to dig here?
Yeah, from my experience and my perspective, there are three main reasons for that for these days. The first one, obviously, is competition. If a competitor offers better value, more benefits, lower prices, obviously customers starts comparing and starts shopping. Um, and if you are in a competitive market, you will show that more intensive in your KPIs. The second one is it's some about bad service. See if you experience frozen TV, lost speed, late repairs, poor installation, trust drop quickly, so the user obviously is going to get upset and they show you that frustration. The third one, I call it, and I hear you call it the drama queen. Yeah, that's the billing shock. Yeah, when a user receive unexpected charge, reconnection freeze, promo endings, prorations that can trigger immediately frustration. So you can combine these three one, and you can add some life stress in your life. Like for example, you have to move for a new job or from your house, or you have to move from, or you have some job changes, or you have payments pressure. So these three combines with the stressful things or the normal life becomes terms much easier for the user.
And now I understand why you say that discounts will not reduce churn.
Is don't tell me about discounts.
Okay, but let's discuss a little bit deeper into, let's say, into all those three categories. I think the category that I understand the best is, the bill shock. Because it's like, if you have the bill shock, immediately the first idea that comes to my mind, it's like, oh my God, telco is stealing my money. And the first chance I get, I will leave. Is it true? Does my intuition sound true or not? How do you see this?
Yeah, like I told you, this is the drama queen of all the telcos, and usually comes from predictable shocks. Yeah, so let's unpack it a little bit more. For example, first bill surprises, like activation charges. So some 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 companies starts to sell to the user with a promo and forget to tell about the promo. So the third or second month, the user see an increase in their billing. So they get surprised. The second one is, for example, roaming add-ons. They forget where they are active. Usually is late payment. For example, in all Latin, people don't for people forget to pay on time. So they get suspension and they fee reconnection fees, or they see another billing account in the next month. So that's difficult to the users to explain. And there are a lot of, yes, but we try to prevent this with early communication.
So what do you mean?
So we identify in the data people who are going to change the bill 1 month. I was paying about, I don't know, 50,000, and the next month I will pay 100. So this isn't a change, and we know that our user is going to call to us. So we prevent this with early communication. Yeah, because to try to mitigate the unexpected charges of the in the user. So we send SMS, WhatsApp, reminders. Sometimes we call them. So, but only customers react when they seal the bill, and that's when the drama starts.
I can imagine. I have had some drama moments as well. me personally, but like for example, when you say like the proactive communication helps, the question is when do you do this communication? Is it like if I am roaming, do you say, hey Gideus, it seems like you are roaming a lot, your bill will increase, or is it like before the invoice sent? So did you notice any pattern when to inform customer about these changes?
That there is two insights. The first one is that we show that a user that changed the billing 1 month to another, increase the churn rate and increase the contact rate in the all the channels, between the double or triple and regular user. The second one is that we have triggers on that specific items, so we can identify when a user have a change and what's the reason, and we try to work with communicate the user that they are going to receive a change in their billing.
So basically, you need to cover everything. What you can cover in real time, you cover with trigger. What you can cover with a billing cycle, you cover there. If I understand correctly, yeah.
We try to cover some things.
And one more interesting question for me is like, did you notice, let's say, any specific threshold after which the drama levels increase? So, for example, I don't know, 10% bill change is okay, but then 30% it's like definitely a huge drama, like 100% it's like definitely churn, or is it like more even? I don't know. Have you noticed anything similar to this?
The roaming, when people is happy enjoying in a travel and they become and they see the bill, is very frustrating for the user, because I was, oh my god, I receive like it's like an upsell, an upsell in my billing.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And obviously when people have to pay for, or they show that they miss to pay on time, that increase a lot of the contact index and the churn rate of that users, and the frustration. So that's and obviously every year in every telco, in every company, and in every part of the world, you have to increase your price, because you have a macroeconomics index behind that. So all people and all the companies have to increase their price. So that's frustrated. for the user. So every year, January to February, we are receiving we are receiving an upside of calls.
Mhm. Well, yeah, but this is, this is more a business strategy, like, which is more.
Yeah, this is a business strategy,
Yeah.
not reasonable. But for the user, well, they feel frustrated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Okay, so this was very, very, very interesting piece. I learned a lot about, let's say, the billing challenges. But you mentioned two more, yes? So
Yeah.
one more was service related. Could you expand a little bit more on this?
Well, we have here in service. This is another drama queen. well,
Yeah.
service is important for user. So when a user drops the service where are working, for example, we are having this podcast and immediately service goes down, you are not going to get frustrated. You are going to get upset. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes.
or you are watching the Super Bowl and maybe the TV is going to it's frozen. So what happened with that? So, or for example, you expected to receive a visit and the visit never visit to you to fix your troubles, or you are trying to move to another house. So maybe could be frustrated and getting upset to the users. So we work on persuade the bad experience of the user to, and when a user pass by the things I told you, they left a footprint. They left a clear pattern. So we track repeated signals across all the channels. For example, if you put multiple tickets in 30, 60, 90 days, or you miss a point or a late point, a late appointment, or the speed or latency be below plans for days, or frequently modem reboots, app errors, or the user are speaking to us recurring pain points about the any NPS or NCS comment. So we start to understand what is happening with the user. So and then we apply preventive fixes. And that preventive fixes is to call you and try to fix remote actions. And if remote action are not enough, we prioritize and dispatch rapid response teams. And usually happens when you call you to cancel. So they fix root causes on site. They optimize the Wi-Fi. We have SWAT equipment, small network corrections, and yes, in critical cases, if I have the user in a call, I deploy a SWAT team. Yeah, it's like a SWAT team, like in the movies. But I say this is an ambulance for customer experience and users who are going to cancel. But behind of all of that, behind the data and the information that we had of the user, there is some about empathy, because sometimes and usually the user is upset. So sometimes you have to say, I'm really sorry for what you've gone through. I'm sorry for interrupt the Super Bowl. I don't know.
This part for me, it's like super interesting, because when we talk about frustration, it is talking about feelings. It's not a rational thing, you know. I just feel frustrated, and sometimes, you know, when I release my frustration and somebody just says sorry, it becomes such a relief, you know. So did you notice this part, like that? Just saying sorry is like half of the job, or
Yeah, yeah, it's part of the job. It's part of the job. And I feel it's like kind of superpower, because sometimes you have to listen people. There are people that just want to be listened, and we know there are people that just call to talk with another person sometimes. Uh, and and finally, when you say and you hear that pain, and you say sorry, and you just please give me another chance to help you. I'm going to prioritize the troubles that you have. I understand perfectly all the things you're having through. So it helps a lot. People, and it's important about the empathy, because you have like you have to in the shoes of the user, and understand all the things. Maybe he was in an interview, he was in a podcast, he was working, he was in a presentation, or he was studying, or or simple the person has a bad day. And sometimes we try to apply some of psychology in the people to help them. Yeah, and we try uh, to relieve the pain, help them to to recover the service.
so this is very interesting for me. So if we combine, like, for bill shock, you want the customer to be proactively informed, and basically that they would feel in control, that, you know, that you're not charging them, you know, from behind their back. You know, it's like it's not a secret charge, but you are in control. From services, you need to have empathy about the situation, and also have this superhero squad team that actually fixes. Yeah, so you need both. You need to be empathetic, and then you need to solve the issue. Yes, and we are still not talking about any discounts yet. Okay, now let's talk a little bit about the third thing. It's like you said that the competition is around. Yes.
You have some kind of control in building shocks and the service, but in the competition, it's more difficult. For example, I don't know in other countries, but here in Latam, competition is very intensive and is very aggressive. From the start, from I remember where one arrives. I don't know, 5 years of or so yeah, yes, kind of 5 years or 6 years. The prices decreased 57%. So
Oh wow.
the and for all companies was a shock, because you have to protect your base, and you have to work in your cost and your efficiency. So and for example, the portability occurs in hours here in Colombia, and a customer can request in the morning, and then switch operator in the afternoon. So you have um, or well, on that process you are very limited. So we must before the portability windows open. Uh, we monitor some inbound calls, digital intention, competitor signals, and risk indicators about the billing of the user. Um, and we add variables like experience, or the billing issue, or stress, or the churn risk of the user, and we try to in the same day we try to respond.
But in this case, we all are already talking about, let's say, potential pricing changes. Yeah, maybe because it's not only about resolving some
Yeah,
challenges,
no,
but here you need to react with price. Yes.
yeah, we need to react. Always or almost is about the price. The customers see a lower price, they see a promotion. There are many people who, or in every part of the world, every people want to save that penny. So so they move into a price. So
Mm-hmm. Okay.
so yes, yeah, we reframe some. We call them. We reframe some of the value. We resize the plan, and it's not about just giving a discount. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
because
Yes.
sometimes the user have a problem, don't understand what happened with the billing, and sometimes we offer, and sometimes when we offer convergent plans. So the user, if the user see that they have a combo between home and fixed services, but well, they are going to have a save in their billing. And and in the last time we talk about the discount. Yeah, we touched the discount. And sometimes, as I told you in a part, sometimes we call them and we say, "Hello, how are you?"
Mm-hmm.
And that's it. Sometimes it works. Everything is okay with your billing. Everything is it's okay with you, and and change the history of the user.
If you are interested in customer value management, check out our customer value management body of knowledge. CVM Book is a comprehensive guide for CVM professionals offering tips, tools, and best practices to help you in your job. Visit cvmbok.com for more.
So it's a really interesting combo. So because every time you really emphasize a lot that it's like the pricing offer, it's the last thing that you do, which is like a really important and interesting insight. But the question is, how does it change the work for the customer value manager? You know, because if I speak about customer value management, it's like, we run campaigns, we deliver personalized offers, etc. And our KPI is churn rate. And now you say your KPI is churn rate, but the actions are in different department. How do you manage that?
Well, this is a huge challenge, and I can tell you the first thing you have to align is the strategy. Yeah, because if we share the same or we have common KPIs with other teams, it should be easy. Yeah, it's about to engage another teams. We bring business cases and we bring them pilots and we show them the impact in the KPIs and the clear metrics that they are going to um, obtain of help to us. Yeah. So churn reduction, fewer repeat calls, fewer truck drugs, better NEPS. So this is the first one is to share some KPIs. And the same strategy, yeah, between all the company, because if a team have different KPIs and the churn team have different KPIs, it's going to be difficult that they are going to prioritize the things you have to reduce the churn and save the ARPU. So the conclusion, when one team, one company solves a pain point, everyone wins. This is the first one. And the second one is a lesson I never forget from a boss. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
He told me try become the trustly friend of all,
Ah.
and help them. Yeah,
Mhm.
more you help others going to help you. It's like a Spider-Man, your trustly neighbor. Collaboration becomes faster and stronger.
I remember when you were like giving this example, which I really love. I remembered like one use case where like one telco has quite a lot of bill shock cases. And when we did the analysis, it was like roughly half of the churn was related to the bill shock before. And it's like, okay, the challenge is to reduce the churn, but the way the company was aligned around that, it's like we need to reduce the number of calls to call center. We need to reduce costs there. It's like, it's like this is how you align, even though you are fixing churn by doing some proactive information about the potential bill shock. You say, I will reduce number of calls to you after the billing cycle.
Yeah,
It's like, so, oh yeah, let's do this,
I'm really glad to help you right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah,
the dynamics change, because if you talk only about churn, churn is not my KPI. My KPI is
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Is my KPI is the contact index, for example. Yeah,
yes,
that's
exactly.
right.
Yes.
That's
So
right.
it's like you need to be super creative. And I think you nailed quite a lot of creativity
Totally.
challenges. But it's like, it's not only about contact center, because here's like, it's pretty linked. But when you talk about, these squad teams, those SWAT teams that you have, how hard was it to build them? Because it's not like I haven't heard that many companies would be doing like this. I believe it should have taken some time and convention in the team to align those resources.
Yeah, you have to you have to see that sometimes you have to invest in your base, and as you say, the benefit is not just for churn; is for that user that is not going to call again. Um, and the cost and the OPEX of the people on every interaction and the potential churn rate of the user and the revenue you are going to lose if you left the user uh, go away. So it's efficiently and we see okay, we have to invest here, but we are going to receive a return of the investment in 2 3 months for all the teams. Yeah, for service, for example, is not going to receive any call from the user. Well, in this moment, uh, I don't know what is going to happen in the future, but in this moment, sure, this user is not going to call again. Uh, we we invest on that users because they have a lot of time with us. So the team of track roll, they see it's more efficient to invest in a user who who give me a lifetime value. So in the time. And the third one is more and more important, is about the experience of the user, the customer experience. Teams track the NEPS, and for example, and totally the churn rate is important. So as you say, is to show creatively to them how's the benefit
Mhm.
for all.
And Gabriel, you as an experienced and senior person in the retention field, it's like, how do you see your role in all of this? Because like I understand the churn KPI that you're responsible for, but it's like like how do you organize all the things? Like where do you start when you need to initialize this type of initiatives? How do you get the ideas where to start, you know?
I think there is a combination of some factors, but I think the first one is you have to be focused. You have to be open to work collaborating with other teams. Sometimes and I told you, you have to help people because more helps other people are going to help you. Have a lot of curiosity because sometimes you don't have the answer, so you have to trust on your team and the people, and and find that patterns in behind the data. You have to be resilient because this is like being a goalkeeper in a team, or or being the doctor in a unit intensive care. So you see that some users are leaving, and you have to learn about every user. Um, and I that's the things that and I'm very open to hear people, not just the customer, your team, your teammates. Um, Work agile, work collaborative. That is very important.
Mm-hmm. How do you plan these sorts of, let's say, initiatives, you know, because in large organizations, these are initiatives are super cross-functional, and usually it means that it will take months, if not years, to execute it. So how do you start? How do you make sure that you have a momentum, you know, to execute?
I think, in my experience, that you have to identify one or three pain points, and you have to work on that because and this is an advice for all that young customer managing and churn manager is not try to do it all at the same time. Yeah, because first one could be stressful because churn, by the way, is like you are in a you have like a pressure, so you can turn into a diamond, or you can start you can be a piece of carbon. So first one is to breathe, focus, not try to do don't try to do all at the same time, not try to make 20,000 shiny dashboards. So it's try to stay focused and collaborate. I think this is the most important thing.
In the churn, well, where people churn due to 5,000 different small reasons, focus really kind of is necessary. um, Basically, if you want to like step away and see these three areas, you know, where why, what are basically what are the root causes, you know. So it's really interesting to hear your insights, Gabriel. One more interesting thing for me was like, how big is your team? It's like of like people who focus on retention, just to understand how much focused effort do you need to solve it.
Well, there is a combination between the focus and do the things very fast and very quickly, because every day brings you new. Every day brings you different challenges. Yeah. So this is important, the focus, but you have to do it very fast. You have to act very fast. So you have a team very. We have. I am very grateful with my team because they are very resilient. They very curiosity. They have the same empathy that I has. So this is the first one important. And I have to tell you something. Not every person fits with every company. Yeah, and not every company fits for every people. Yeah. So the recruit is important from the teams who are receiving the call, from the team that he's working in behind with me, or is working with me hand by hand. They have to share the same ethics, the same value, they can at least they can think a little bit similar to me, because they have to be focused, but they have to react very fast. So you have to have some special skills on data, on discussion, and you have to communicate that information. You have to make friends in other teams. That is important. I think that in the managing role that I have, for example, in the operation, we have to celebrate micro wins that coach one to one and reward the right behavior. For example, we start this conversation at CM. That's not a good reward.
Okay. Being focused and acting fast sounds like a very big challenge. So, Gabriel, we will be moving to the last stage of our conversation. And I have a couple of questions that I love to ask all our guests. And first question is, could you share with us your proudest moment in your career of in the retention field?
Well, my proudest moment wasn't giving discounts. It was early in my career, during a merger in a company I was working in a junior leadership. I was in that moment, and I helped to build the convergence and that first one synergies. So we start to call it that user have mobile services and try to focus on upgrade the plan to moving to home and converting to convergent. So that was the beginning of my transformation of the journey. I'm very proud to be one of the first one that do here in my country.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so sounds really, really exciting. And over those years, I bet there were some challenging moments. Let's say, what was your biggest lesson or a failure story?
Well, there are some failures. You have to learn some about the failures and the opportunities that the life put you in your life. But actually, in that merger, I have to lead the Convergent project. So, selling mobile services to, as I told you, mobile services to the users. But there were two organizations with very different cultures. One were more faster and more aggressive. They were to do it as fast as they can, and the other were more cautious. So more let's see, let measure the risk. So I was in the middle of that clash. Yeah, mm-hmm. The typical communication issues occur. So, and imagine being a 24, 25 young boy between all the lions. So, and what worked in the end? Finding the common ground, building together, align the clear OKRs or the KPIs. Show them the importance of the project, and finally the failure, because I felt some I don't know how to do it with all these people, and the failure become part of my proudest moment. Yeah, because about that moment, I learned it's important to communicate with user with the or your with your other teammates. So failures going always give you a lesson.
So yeah, I love the way you put it, Gabriel. It's like because you actually made a huge progress with the difficult situation that you were in. For those people who would like to start in CVM role or is like starting in this role, how would you recommend to learn? Or what would be your recommended way of learning in this field?
Well, there are not a lot of resources, but I want to tell the people who are that follow CVM Story podcast. You can learn here a lot of that people who is battle with data. You can find a book who is fighting churn with data by Carlo Gold. I think there is important that people who is starting with this a book I liked so much. His Head, Heart, and Hats by Álvaro González Alorda is in a great book that for that people who is going to start how to embrace, how to work in every day and become. I like, for example, Atomic Habits, 1% every day better. So you don't try to all, as I told you, you don't try to do it all of the time, but do it 1% every day. It will change everything in the future. Yeah. And a book I like so much is Man's Search for Meaning by Carlo Frank. Yeah. It's very known in Europe, I think.
It's like I can share all your book recommendations. Like for a while, Atomic Habits was my favorite book for I know in 2025 maybe or 2024. It was like my number one.
And well, there aren't many open resources yet, and sometimes universities are starting to cheat more about the churn, about more the customer management user. But one thing is clear: people who succeeds in telecom can work in everywhere. And I have a book of you of Exacaster. I recommend that book to learn more about managing base.
CVM book, Customer Value Management Body of
CVM
Knowledge.
book.
Yes,
Good book.
Thank you. And Gabriel, the last question for you. You know, we are on a mission to make customer value managers famous. And the question for you is like, how do we make those CVMs famous?
I think as I was told you, CVM knowledge is still relative closed. There are many open resources yet. Some universities, I see, for example, in university, I'm starting to teach more about that. But things like this podcast, things about to read books about the CVM importance and another thing important is when a person works in a telecom can work in anywhere. So the industry builds a strong, adaptable, talented. So people can speak in these spaces more open, more to show them the people the importance. And I think it is important that all the universities starts to show the importance of the how to increase the value of the user in the base. So there are these 3 points.
Thank you, Gabriel. It was a really, really interesting and rich conversation. Thank you for sharing your secrets with us.
Thank you, Gideon. Thank you again for inviting me to your podcast. I really enjoy this conversation. I hope the listeners take practical issues or practical insights, ideas that they can apply immediately, independent of the industry that they are. And well, I sent to a special greeting to my team, to my wife, and to my family. My team, a special recognition because behind all of the action we do and the things we do, they are they are the magician. They turn the strategy into reality. So thank you.
CVM Stories is produced by Exacaster. We help companies take their customer value management to the next level. To stay updated on our latest episodes, subscribe to the podcast or sign up for an email newsletter at exacaster.com/CVM Stories.